Hello everybody. This week's project is focusing on redoing our front walkway and patio. We were lucky enough to get some free pavers. Our old walkway was pea stone with some flagstones on it, which was a cheap option at the time, but not the ideal. I started by excavating all of the pea stone that was there. My in-laws were redoing their patio, and instead of discarding the old pavers, they decided to hand them our way. So for this project, I needed a tamper, which I didn't have, and I didn't really want to go out and buy one, so I decided to make one at home with a maul and a piece of wood. I simply drilled some holes through the piece of wood and wired the maul onto it, and it gave me something I could tamp down the mason sand with. So I got some buckets of mason sand at the local gravel yard for $1.25 per bucket. I raked it all out and leveled it as best I could, tamped it down with my new homemade tamper, raked it out again, and I started laying the stones, which was kind of like making a puzzle, which was nice, using a mallet to kind of tamp them in place. So once I finished this walkway, I saw how many pavers we had left, and looking at our old patio, it really didn't seem to match the new walkway, so we decided to pull that old patio out, which was basically made from free bricks we got on Facebook Marketplace. We pulled that out and using the same techniques, built this patio.
So here we have some footage of the finished project in our Bella. This is part one of what you're seeing of the furniture on the patio. We just thought we'd show you around at this point. You see our beautiful flower pots. The pots we had gotten from Home Depot a few years ago for under $20. The flowers are a type of verbena, and they always reminded me of Sweet William, which is one of my favorite flowers. So I'm just showing you what we put in the pot. It is an annual, but it dresses up the patio nicely. Then we have our rocking chairs that we had also gotten off of Facebook Marketplace almost a decade ago, and they're showing some wear and they've been repaired here and there. But we had gotten 4 of them for about $50 and we're down to 2. They're going to get a little paint job as they're still in pretty decent shape. The side table here we've had in our backyard for a while. It's showing some rust and wear, so that probably won't last very long. We'll be replacing that soon. The bench is a homemade bench made by Paul with some pressure treated wood we had laying around. Needless to say, it was free. We'll be putting some cushions on it and dressing it up a little bit, but for now, it'll be a nice bench on our patio. Everything you see is a little bit wet because we just had a good rain. These window boxes are showing a bit of wear by being worn through all the years, so we decided to spray paint them black. Originally, we wanted to build a wooden box base, but the way the brackets are, it wouldn't fit.
I had built these shutters a couple of months ago using some pressure treated 1x4s from Home Depot. I screwed them together and we stained them with, I think, early American stain.
so much clippings that it's filling the entire barrel. But all that dead, what do you call it? Needles? No. The dead leaves, dead foliage is off of it, and it'll be that much healthier and green, more green. And this was a couple-year experiment trying to do phlox, creeping phlox, in these window boxes. They're doing beautifully in the beginning of the season, 2 years in a row, but for some reason they don't do well as the season progresses. There's a lot of dead on there. I imagine, like Paul had just said to me, probably a big root ball inside the window box. So they probably, after next year, we will probably move them on to in between our rocks here, as we did over here, if you can see a little bit. But it might need to happen again. And then we'll think of something else for the window boxes. The idea was, as you know, our channel's been about on a budget. So it was an investment that we thought would be smart, because it would just keep growing in the window box, and it would cascade, which it has been, which is really beautiful. And when it flowers, are these really delicate lavender flowers. And then it's still green the rest of the year. And the thing is, it comes back, it's perennial. But I think after a while, it's just too much of a plant for being pot bound. So, alas, it lasted for a couple years. And it will definitely do well inside, in between the rocks. But inside the window boxes, we'll find a different solution. Perennials would be ideal, as we won't have to do it every year, and things are just getting more and more expensive. But we might have to do annuals again. There are some annuals that are less expensive than others. And as you can see, Paul is spraying the first coat on these last window boxes. It's a little bit windy out, so maybe it wasn't the ideal time to do it, but it'll look much nicer as we're trying to improve the front of the house, the curb appeal, and also the patio, which this week is all about, is redoing the patio. Paul has some cardboard inside the window boxes so as not to hurt the plants. Ideally, you wouldn't have any soil in there, you wouldn't have any plant in there, and you would just spray the planters and then fill the plants in later with the soil. But we always do things a little unorthodox and a little quirky. But the green was getting really faded. We noticed that in the beginning, but like I said, we've had these phlox inside the window boxes for a couple of years. So instead of taking them out, cleaning them out, drying them out, putting more paint on them, then replanting them or putting something in there, we're kind of doing it the quick, unorthodox way. Paul's being very careful with the roots and the greenery. I have to tell you, I'm half tempted with the dead part of the foliage that's still attached. So spray paint it with a green. There is actually a spray paint out there that greens up your lawn and plants. And apparently it's safe for plants. It's a little bizarre to me, but I suppose if you had a gathering and the plant looks full but maybe is browning, or the grass is getting brown, you could do it. I've not attempted it, and I don't think I'd want to, but I guess in a bind I might do that. I've never tried it, so I can't tell you, but I'm half tempted to do it on these, but nah. How you doing in the wind, Paul?
I'm trying to avoid the big gusts. I'm doing okay.
It's good plan, good idea. Careful the greenery on the window boxes. The third one's touching the second one. Well, there'll be some casualties, I guess. We have fun.
We do.
When you're first doing that, you're exposing some dead foliage that I forgot. So, and again, I don't want to take everything away because it will hopefully come back after being fertilized and watered a bit more. We do water them, but I don't know, maybe we're watering them too much. Who knows? The hot heat of the summer here in New England, especially July and August and even into the beginning of September, is truly the test, because it does tend to be much drier and hotter at that time. And although we'll get a rainstorm here and there, sometimes it comes down into a harsh storm, so that's not always good either, drowning them out. But we're gonna hope they'll do well, and they'll come back a little bit by clipping them, trimming them. Waiting out the breeze. Despite the wind off and on, you're getting pretty good coverage on these. All right, so what we did is, ideally you would let it dry a little bit longer, but we're kind of on a time crunch here, as we want to get these done, and it's quite windy and gray, and it may possibly have rain. Another time not to do this, but it's a very low percentage of rain today. But Paul's going to tip the bottom a little bit and spray the bottoms, just so when you're looking from the bottom you don't see the green color from the old window box. So be cautious as you're...
He's going to wait a little bit.
He's going to wait a little bit. So never mind what I just said. But when he's ready, when it's not as tacky or wet, he's going to tip it a little bit and just spray under that as best he can. It will be a little damp as we did water these today. These are all things not to do, folks, but if you're in a bind, which we've been on time crunches before, where we've just done things haphazardly, and they've worked out. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it does. Let's hope this is one of those times.
Such is life.
Such is life. He's taking that bucket, that's the barrel, which is really falling apart. It's time to replace that. That's become the garden trash barrel. He's bringing that up. On our property here we have a huge compost pile, which has turned into a little den for animals. We've had foxes live in there, all kinds of creatures, but it looks kind of cute up there. Not sure if we've mentioned this before, which I think we did, maybe possibly. It didn't make it in the final cut of our welcome video. I'm not sure. But up here we have a trail that we had made during the very beginning of the pandemic. We wanted to utilize this hill because we own a lot of property all the way up to the top of the hill. Not so much flat land, but we own all the way up this hill, which is quite a bit of a hill. Hard to tell from here. But one of these days we'll take you on a little hike with us on our trail. But we made a wonderful trail and some kind of makeshift stairs going up there and also there. And we have 3 different trails. It's pretty neat. Here he comes. Say hello to your public, Paul. We have fun. another project in the future will be building stairs. Paul's been wanting to do for years. So we're not just rock climbing every time. Really good exercise though, and fun, but we're getting up there in age. We're both almost 50. It's probably time that we build some stairs to go up there. Hey Bella, how are you? She's ignoring me. Ah, such is life.
Say hi.
Hi Bella. Now, when you acknowledge this dog, she just runs to you.
Hands are painful, sorry. If I pet you, it would be all whacked.
Aw. Hi Dad. Hello. All right. So, what do you think? You think we're ready? We're going to give it a shot. Watch that wind. It's starting to pick up. Very strange weather here in New England. You never can tell. Some years it's like this, sometimes it's not. But there he goes. He put a little thin coat. He's going to bring it out to the front. You can see all the breeze. The wind is really picking up. That just happens here in New England, especially for June. This is a little strange, but it happens. So they look a little wonky now, the plants, but when they come back, they'll be lovely. You just have to be patient. And I'm convincing myself as I'm saying that because I am not known to be very patient. That plant is hanging precariously from that window box because we had to rescue it as the woodchuck keeps getting to it. Yeah, we're a little frustrated with woodchuck. Any ideas, folks, about how to get rid of a woodchuck? It's been the bane of our existence. We'd love to be friends with all animals, but when they eat all of your vegetation, and well, not all vegetation, but when they eat all of your flowers and your vegetables that you just spend a lot of money on, and you hope to use, to eat, and look at, it's a little frustrating. We didn't really get to this one yet, thankfully. We brought it out in time into the front. But this one, he started to eat. If you can see some of the ends here, we have some bitten off ends. It's very frustrating. And we caught that one almost in time. Hopefully it'll be all right. But that one in the middle was hanging in the backyard, but from a low shepherd's hook, and unfortunately it was low enough for it to get to it. And we had some in planters that sat on the stoop of the deck, and he seemed to get to that. So again, any tips you have about capturing a woodchuck would be greatly appreciated. All right, signing up.